Time now to grade the week that was for Trump and get a reading on our Trumpometer scorecard. Rick, you get to talk some more. You ready?
You bet.
That's why we brought him in, to do all the heavy lifting.
If you guys would just leave and let me talk, I'd be quite content. No, I guess one of you needs to ask me questions.
That'll be Jen.
Go for it, Jen.
The president is away, right? Foreign soil, Japan, got the G20 summit, certainly had a busy week before heading out. And one of the things I believe that you are focusing on in the Trumpometer is what he's been doing and saying about Jay Powell and the Fed. Because he's been talking a lot, tweeting a lot, you know.
You know, he does these insane things with repetition, and I think it's important not to just let this become normal. My question now is, does he like really despise Jay Powell? Is it personal, or is he just using Jay Powell in the sort of a mechanistic way he uses everybody else?
But of course, a punching bag. It's like an easy person.
I guess so. I mean, is it just business between us? At any rate, he said the Fed is like a stubborn child because it won't cut rates. Even though the president keeps telling them to cut rates, they won't do it. And then he said he wishes we had somebody at the Fed like Mario Draghi instead of our Fed person.
You know, if you put this Fed person, that was
our Fed person, it's like he can't even bear to pronounce the name. So
he wants a Goldman guy, not a.
Do you know why Europe has? Do you know why Europe has Mario Draghi? It's because Europe has Europe's economy. If you had Europe's economy, you would have to have Mario Draghi. And if we had Europe's economy here, Jay Powell would be Mario Draghi. But we don't have Europe's economy. We should be thankful for that. But Trump is not.
And it reminds me of our discussion yesterday, Jen, with Michael Cushman of Morgan Stanley, talking about how Mario Draghi is really acting based on what he learned when he was, an economist and a researcher, but not the ECB president during the post-crisis period. Ben Bernanke was acting extremely forcefully after it was kind of a little bit too late, but the way the Fed was extending swap lines aggressively, buying assets, that's been Draghi's playbook. And Jay Powell is basically just saying, we don't need to do that right here, and we should all be happy about that.
And we also already did it.
We already did it.
We
were the innovators.
We told everybody else how to do that. We did QE2.
The irony of Trump bashing Jay Powell is that who is the one guy that can bail Trump out economically and politically if the economy gets into trouble? It's Jay Powell. Now, I don't think anybody believes he would take this so personally that he would, base a monetary policy decision on his feud with Trump or this feud that Trump wants to have with him. But Trump needs Jay Powell, or he could need Jay Powell.
Now, I was interested, about the debate. He didn't come up last night. Jay Powell didn't. I don't know if he'll come up tonight, but I think it's going to be weird that the Fed chair is probably going to be a major part of the election. Once the Democratic field gets whittled down to like a reasonable size and we only have serious candidates left, I feel like what to do with the Fed is going to be a major discussion.
Yeah.
Well, the next president gets to appoint the next Fed chair.
Like, what if it comes out that, Julian Castro hanging around is actually like an abolish the Fed Rand Paul guy? I mean, that would throw everything into flux.
This came up before, I
don't think he would be, but, I don't mean to use him as an example. Yes. I'm just saying in theory.
There were a few, Rick Perry, of all people.
Oh, I think it's
what's
time
going on to just reveal the Trumpometer.
Sorry.
Somebody's prompting us. Failing! It's failing, okay? The Trumpometer says failing. You happy? Man, I was in the middle of something there.
Our segment wasn't moving efficiently enough.
The Trumpometer this week says failing, in case anybody wanted to know.
What was your thought about Perry?
This must have been 2012. I can't remember if it's 2012 or 2016, but Rick Perry was one of the guys saying, oh, if the Fed chairman came down around here in Texas, we'd teach him a thing or two. Like, he's going to toughen up the Fed chairman.
It must have been 2012.
It was like, what are you exactly complaining about? Low interest? That's when there was a war on savers. That was a talking point.
I asked Stephen Moore this last week, and he completely dodged it. But, of course, the facts bear this out, right? People like Stephen Moore, people like Rick Perry, most Republicans, frankly, were all hawks when Obama was the president and rates were low and the economy was suffering. They're like, we got to raise rates.
War on savers.
Right. And now Trump's the president and they're all doves. And guess what? They don't actually have any economic thoughts other than we're in power and we know that low rates are good for the economy.
Do whatever it takes to stay in power.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that complicated. So I guess on that sense, that's what the market sees, and that's why the market is able to discount this stuff, because they know it's just ideological pablum, right? It's not real.
Here's what would make the Federal Reserve, I think, a more potent election issue is if it does start to appear that Fed's pressure really is politicizing the Fed. I mean, Jay Powell has done a good job up till now of resisting the pressure and saying the right things publicly. But if he cuts, then you do have this question. Are they capitulating in some way to Trump?
It only matters if the economy tanks on it.
That's
If
probably
the economy does fine,
Probably
nobody
true.
cares. We'll be like, all right,
Yeah.
okay, the
I think
president got him to do the right
people
thing.
might
It's
draw the
just
dotted
on
line,
the
but-
economy.
Yeah.
They're not going to, if the economy doesn't go down, then they'll be like, all right, it was the right thing.
I'm going to go look up Rick Perry's comments on the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, report back after the break, right?
We'll do that.
Thank you.